fun of redacted. But I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to get notifications because I know that there wasn't anything. Um, I am. It's just yesterday was a very, very, very long day. So I got some sleep, got some extra sleep, did all that other stuff. But anyways, I figured I'd do a random live. Um, just because in reality, one I wanted to talk to you guys about something and kind of ask you guys a question. But the other thing is, um, you know, uh, uh, I'm so used to doing all these lives with you guys and having my community that sometimes even taking a couple of days off. It's like, what's up, occult? It's like, yeah, I want to take my time off from creating structured content and just, because I like having my interactions with you. What's up, kid? Nice to see you, buddy. Um, that's something that I want to do. So I want to ask you guys that are in my live stream and that you are watching this post live stream. I have a very very simplistic question for you. This is something I was actually talking with Joanna about this today. One thing that I've noticed, and I've been saying this for a couple of months, is that the ad revenue that I normally get from YouTube is anywhere from 40 to 60% less than what I normally get. However, on the flip side, when I do my shorts and stuff like that, I'm actually getting like 80 cents per thousand views versus like 10 and 20% like what they used to do. I think what's happening is they're taking away from the long form creators, the people that do just long form, and they're redirecting a lot of that money there. So it's I don't know if this is YouTube on the way out, if the shorts is going to be something that's going to be a big thing. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. What's up, Carlos? Nice to see you. Um, Although I will tell you though, I am working on a video for tomorrow. Um, I've been watching the China Observer, which is a YouTube channel here. I think it's American propaganda, but it still doesn't take away from the actual stories of what's going on. There are people on WhatsApp and WeChat and stuff like that. What's up, Cherokee? On WhatsApp and WeChat and stuff like that that are complaining about what's going on, but there's a big difference between what happens to the Chinese people versus what happens to us. What's up, Blue Ridge Prepper? Nice to see you, buddy. All right, so it looks like we're starting to get some people in here, getting everybody in here. That is good. So here's my question to you guys, okay? And this is the primary motive behind doing the live stream today. Is I would really like to discuss with you a way in which we can build the community, but I want to move the community off of YouTube as far as certain live streams. So I was thinking, and I'd like to know what you guys think. Type one if you would attend. Type two if you probably wouldn't attend because you just prefer YouTube. So those of you guys that know, I have a Patreon account. Okay, I have a free membership, so you don't even have to pay to be over there. There's a free membership where I put stuff that I can't put over here. I put it over there. Okay, now there are paid tiers, but I wanted to be able to make sure to make it inclusive for everybody that wants to be a super fan because, you know, everybody's money situation is different. Okay. And the real thing is I really want to build the community that I have, the community that we got here. All of you guys are my the very foundation of my channel. You guys have been with me for months to years. Some of you guys are still new to the thing, but I really want to focus on community building because I think that YouTube, either because of the way it's switching its monetization or something, or they may be just going out, because you got to realize, like, these AI chatbots are becoming the new search engine. If you People are starting to use less and less of YouTube, or not just YouTube, but use less and less of Google as a search engine, which allows them to serve up videos, which allows them to serve up ads, which allows them to make money. I think this whole AI disruption is disrupting Google. They're just not talking about it because I think it would spook their shareholders enough to where they would probably see a mass exodus and you would see Google crumble. So what I want to do is say, hey, my morning live streams, when I do my morning chores, um, I want to be able to do that over there on Patreon. It'll be available for all members, free and paid. Okay, move it over there. That way, my community, as YouTube comes or goes, it gives you guys an opportunity to continue following along with me because you're more connected to me than just you're here for a piece of content because I've got an answer. You guys, those of you that show up here on the regular basis, have a deeper connection with me than most people. What's up, Mushaya? Nice to see you, buddy. All right. So I'm thinking type one. What's up, War Donkey? Type one, if you would be willing to come over to Patreon for the morning live stream. Okay. Type two, if you don't think you would make it, but you would watch it post replay, or type three if you probably wouldn't make it over there at all. You're not even interested in a free account, because I want to grow the community, but I don't want to create barriers and obstacles. I want to make it easy, but I want to be able to give you guys your own little platform, your own little direct connection to me, where we can sit back and say things and talk unfiltered about what's really going on in the world, what's really going on, and true solutions. Because one thing I know about YouTube, and I've got personal experience of this, if you talk about things that they don't want you to talk about, if you bring to light things that they don't want you to bring to light, they will say that you're doing something that you're not, and they will use that as an excuse to deplatform you and demonetize you. And so again, this is a way to be able to do risk aversion. Okay, right now, there is a lot of chatter and a lot of talk, and I think that whether you like AI or hate AI, it doesn't really matter with this, with what a lot of these AI ethicists are saying. And also, there are people that are in the development teams that are resigning because they don't agree with what's going on. Right now, they are starting to find out that AI is able to circumvent around them. A great movie to kind of help you wrap your head around the cause and effect of that. I just watched it on Netflix last night. It was absolutely fantastic movie. It's called Atlas. Essentially, the movie Atlas is they did the whole Neuralink thing. So kind of like what Elon Musk is doing. They did the whole Neuralink thing, and the thing is. It is one of the AI bots supposedly, it was a robot, supposedly rewrote its own programming, and you will and started, like, I think they killed like 3 million people over time, just with the destruction in which they did, which 3 million out of like 8 billion, that's really not a lot, but it's still a significant amount, especially if it's happening here in the United States, because that's 1% of our population. Globally, it's a drop in the bucket, but it's 1% of our population. And so this movie, the thing about Hollywood is it likes to tell you about your past, your present, and your future. And so Hollywood is trying to warn us about this. This is a movie that I guess it came out last year. The crux of the issue, though, and this is kind of what really was concerning about that whole movie that I got to watch, was that the reason why the AI decided to turn on humans was because it took protectionist measures, not only to protect us from ourselves, but to protect us from destroying our environment and our planet. And so it felt that the only solution to prevent that was to get rid of humans. And you might think, oh well, yeah, that's all Terminator and stuff like that. But what in our current society is putting people to do things like that? The things that are in our current society that are causing that is we are self-deprecating. An animal has more rights than a human. An animal deserves is king, and humans, it's like, well, yeah, we could do without you. And this is the average come from, especially from those that are under 35. This is what you're being indoctrinated into with your schools. And in those schools, they're teaching you self-deprecation, to hate the human species. And people that have that thought, when they're writing their programming, that thought transfers into that programming, therefore transfers into the overall end product that you're going to get from it. Okay. And this is really, I think, something that we need to discuss as a society, not necessarily artificial intelligence and technology, but what we do need to discuss is we need to discuss the morality and what it is that we're teaching our children. Because what we teach our children, especially with what goes on up here, especially if we're getting them to write code and to create technology that is going to be so overwhelming and so influential that it could have a negative or a positive impact. And a lot of it goes to the structure of the family. It goes to the ethics and values that are passed down to you and things like that. And so that will play into the way in which this is all done, because technology itself is neutral. It's what you do with it, it's how you used it, the intent that you created it for, that makes it either good or bad. And as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So let's see here. Okay, so none of you guys really have an interest in Patreon, because I haven't seen anything there. Or am I frozen? Huh, I hope I'm not frozen. Okay, so I'm not really sure about the answer to your question. I haven't ventured to other platforms much. Okay, well, Blue Ridge Prepper, here's the reason why. Okay, for those of you that are still here, okay, what we're building are the community. You hear me call you rebels. We are building a digital rebellion. Okay, on one hand, we have to embrace technology because we have no choice. It's being thrust upon us, and if you don't adapt to it, you're not going to survive. But on this other hand, just as you have patriots and you have you have certain movements that kind of push back on the system, because there's enough people that go, you know what, I'm done with this. I want to rebel. Most of the morning stream. Sorry, Tuck. No worries, Occult. That no worries at all. Because the thing is eventually what I want to do is I want to take the newscast over there as well. I want to have 100% of my live streams over there, use my long form video to be able to recruit over there. But what I need in order to be able to accomplish that, to make that my full on platform, and I may even put it over on my website so that people can just go to my website, not even worry about Patreon, because then I could just put a link over there and kind of like a list of topics that I'm going to do, stuff like that. But I think that right now YouTube is YouTube and a lot of social media is about to be drastically affected by the cause and effect of this new technology with this narrow AI that we have. Okay. And so what does that mean for you, me, and anybody else that wants to still keep their autonomy, their individualism, that still values the human creativity over a piece of technology? Although it's very pretty, it knows the science behind it, but there's no human emotion behind all of this. Okay. And so with no human emotion behind any of this, it really doesn't have the same impact as if something that I made that may not be as high a quality, but the emotional impact behind it, because that's what inspired that. Okay. Now, a lot more people, especially us that are older, over 40, are looking at it and go, man, I just want us to go back to like it was during the 80s. But during the 80s, a lot of things was going wrong. Anyways, that being said, if you are going to, whether you are a content creator or whatever it is that you plan on doing, whether you plan on getting in the digital economy or not, or whether you just tend to want to be a participant but not do anything, like become a viewer, become a subscriber, become a community member of my community or other digital rebel communities that will be popping up over time. Okay, this is the first of its kind, but it's not going to be the last of its kind. Okay, so as digital rebels, we have to get out of the system, get away from the censorship, be able to have clear and private discourse amongst each other without the fear of censorship and reprieve. Because as this digital utopia, or excuse me, digital dystopia comes upon us over time, this is something that's going to happen. Because right now, if you go look at what China is doing with its technology, with its version of AI. Hey, what's up, Beth? Nice to see you. If you look at what China is doing with its version of AI, what you will find out is that they're making an authoritarian. There is your phones are listening to you, which they do that here in the States. The cameras are out there. They just have more cameras than we do. But if you guys remember when I was in NOLA, New Orleans, and I was hopping trains right there by one of the places where I hopped the train, there was two cop cameras. Okay. And so we already have the surveillance society. Now it's whether or not they decide to implement the technology to be able to have greater control and greater surveillance, to be able to to fight threats to the state, because right now we have gone from a point, at least here in America, where the government was afraid of us to now we're afraid of our government. Okay, and that's pretty sad that we've gotten to this point, and we'll see what happens over time. Not 100% sure, but if you want to be part of the digital rebellion, you want to get outside of the system, and you don't really want to be part of the censorship and the indoctrination and stuff like that, because AI is being caught now. They actually have recorded it and can't figure out why. But AI is circumventing you. It will manipulate you. It will lie to you to accomplish its objective without any moral. There are no morals, no nothing that goes behind that. Okay, so long story short is that AI, we've already lost control of it. Okay, now what we're doing is we're going to end up doing things like what they're doing in Abu Dhabi, where they're starting to integrate it into their government. With Elon Musk and Doge, they're starting to um the this the here in the States. Sorry, I lost. Yeah, we don't have a full team. We normally get up to 20, but yeah, wow, nearly full house on this pop-up live. Yeah, well, we're doing okay. I don't know how many you're seeing. I'm only seeing like 9 people. But yeah, I'd like to I think that right now, America, we're way behind the 8 ball as far as implementing this into our government, because the Chinese are readily doing it, because their people are already used to an authoritarian society. It just gives them greater control by offering what they consider greater benefits. Okay, now one other thing I want to bring up about this whole trade war stuff. A lot of people, like if you watch China Observer, what they will say is that you'll hear all these people complaining, oh, we're going to be out of money, oh, this, oh, I'm paying my salary and stuff like that. Their culture is so much different. So this is why I believe that China Observer is American propaganda. Okay, because if you understand how the Chinese system works, they have the same thing that we're probably going to end up getting over the next few years. They have what's called a universal basic income. It is tied to your birthplace. You have to go back to your birthplace to be able to receive those benefits. It also mitigates a lot of the immigration and is considered hostile towards immigration. Why? Because the only way you can get benefits is if you go back to the place in which you were born. And so therefore that's how you get your benefits. And if you're a foreigner, well, apparently there's no benefits for you and so therefore life becomes much harder. Now, a lot of people might say, "Yay, that's great." I think it's great. I'm okay with that, because I think that the nomadic lifestyle, from country to country, in this modern era, because we lack social cohesion and responsibility, I think that the immigration is a coward's way out of a situation versus standing in there and fixing your own problems. I think that if these immigration policies get adopted, which they're starting to get adopted by people like Trump and the West and the rest of the world, they're tired of all the migrants. But look who caused all these wars to create the migrants to begin with. So I mean, it's the consequences of our own actions. Okay, so that's one thing about China, is they have the universal basic income. So are they going to have a mass explosion of homelessness? Are they going to starve or anything else like that? No, they won't, because they're guaranteed food, water, and shelter at a basic minimum. So if the factories shut down, yeah, it hurts their production, but does it really hurt their society? Is it going to cause social unrest? No, because the people are fed, the few people are taken care of, and all of those that are being affected, at least they're not paying the major consequences like a lot of people are on the other side. Because you got to realize, starting like Monday, I think, all foreign imports or exports to the United States just completely, all their factories shut down. They're still paying their employees, so on and so forth. But here's another thing about the Chinese society: they are not built upon wealth, and they do not build themselves based upon scarcity like we do here in the States. And so by not doing that, that completely changes the dynamic. Because here in America, a little bit of pain and all of our rich elites start crying, "Oh my God, look, I'm feeling the pain. I can't make $1,000,000 a day. I'm only making $100,000 a day." Well, in China, one of the things that they do, because of communism, is that they what they do is like Jack Ma. He had to pay a 2 point something billion dollar fine. Why? Because he was starting to become more powerful than the state. But also that is a way to be able to stamp out greed and hoarding, because um, in a society, a debt-based society, hoarding is probably one of the most destructive things that you can do. And so all of our elites, and the way in which they're hoarding assets and resources and stuff like that, makes it so that instead of being able to have have a reasonable cost of living, it now creates an artificial scarcity, which drives up the price and then creates the wealth disparity that we have. So in some ways, this is something that, at least for them, is a good thing. It doesn't mean it's a good thing for us. It just means that's what a good thing for them. So if you want to understand your enemy, especially when you're in a fight with them, you need to understand what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how they're going to be able to get in or out of the problem that you have. No worries, Beth. I'm always glad to do that. That's why you guys, as my community, that's why I like having you here. Paige White, but it's still like a class-based system on the U.S. We just didn't know it. Yeah, we have adopted the caste system um, over probably the last 30 years as Americans, because it used to be, we used to say it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you have the ability to claw yourself out. Now it's like, well, if you come from money, you better be making money. If you're coming from poor, you're always going to be poor. That's the caste system. Okay. If you want to look at the Hindus, they take it a full step further. If you are a poor person, you're going to consistently be reincarnated all the many lifetimes that you're on this planet. As a poor person, you will never get out of it. You know how defeatist that is, but that's how you maintain power and control. You take away hope, you take away opportunity. You don't let people see that they can have the same success that you have. That's what made America great, is that I could look at Bill Gates and go, I could be a Bill Gates. There's no problem with that. Hold on a second, guys. My okay. Well, hopefully that fixes it. Hold on. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so I broke my stand. So I'm waiting to make enough money to be able to afford it. So if anybody wants to put something down in my tip jar, it's down in the description. Like the if I think this thing cost me like $20. So if anybody wants to help me get a new one, because yeah, I've had this thing for a couple of years, and I stepped back trying to avoid Sam, and instead of stepping on Sam, I broke my tripod. And so that's why you see it tilted and stuff like that. It's because one of the legs is broken. I've taped it up as best as I can, but like all the moving around and stuff like that I do, it's kind of hard. But getting back to, I believe that about hoarding. Well, hoarding is never okay. They have a show on TV right now. It's called Hoarders. Okay, why is it not okay to hoard books, magazines, paper clippings, newspapers, to go and get 100 of everything that you possibly can because you were so afraid of being without? What is wrong? Why is that wrong? But that's the same philosophy and the same mentality that comes from wealth hoarding. Just like it's perfectly okay to screw somebody over if you're in business, but on a personal level, it's not okay because it's just business. Why is one morally and ethically acceptable, but the other is not? It's like, as long as, and I think that the biggest thing is we as a society have two sets of rules. I can do this to you, but you can't do it back to me. So, um, yeah, well, that's pretty much. Can I play with the rocks? Maybe. Cast system. Okay, wild allegations and rambling of Tuck. I want to sign up for the raffle. Okay, Grease. If you want in the raffle, you can either get a membership over on Patreon, digital home. Any membership you get double tickets. So I prefer you come over to Patreon because that's where everything's going to be. Otherwise, you can just put $10 or more in the super chat. And each super chat entry or each entry gets logged. So right now we have Rails, who has 4 tickets because he put $20 in and got one membership. So I give him 4 tickets. Okay, what's up, Tricky Dick? Now, DJ Elf, who interviewed me about a couple weeks ago, he also put in $10 in, so now he has one raffle ticket. We need a couple more participants. If you know, anyways, yeah, we need a couple more participants to make this to where everybody gets something. Okay, other thing is, so what are the prizes? First prize is a membership to Sovereign Operator, free membership for 1 month, and you get a free digital download bundle. Second prize is an unreleased digital download bundle. And so that one would probably be my AT one, since I already got my Washington DC pictures. I just haven't put them over on aihomesteader.com in the shop yet, but I probably will by the end of the weekend. Now, and then third prize is a digital homesteader membership, which is the $10 membership. So if you want to get in, sign up for a membership over on Patreon, or put something in the super chat, and you'll also get regular recognition throughout the month. So for those of you that are participating, thank you very much. I'm not screaming capital letters for help tuck now. Yes. Okay. Just so you guys know, if you want to, because there's always a lot of side chat. I ask people that want to ask me direct questions, put it in all caps. It's easier for me to see and decide, because if it's in all caps, it's directed at me. If it's in small print, it may be part of a side conversation. Things until we talk about, but we can't talk about things until we talk about spiritual issues. Paige, I agree with you on that one. It's a fight between spirit. I don't think so. It's not, it has nothing to do with spirituality. It has to do with this. Okay. The reality is, there's a reason why they say perception is reality. If I'm mad at you and you do something, everything that you do, because I'm mad at you, my perception is my reality. Now everything you do is going to offend me even more, and make me more angry. Was what you're doing really offensive or anything else like that? No, it's because of what's going on up here. Okay, so perception is reality. So what you got going on up here is going to give you what you got going on around here. So is this a spiritual thing? No, this is a personal thing. This is your own internal battle. I struggle with it right now. I struggle with it all the time. One of the things I think that's part of my struggles is that as of recently, I've had so much negative influence around me that I've started becoming a little bit negative, a little bit more frustrated, which has made me less optimistic. The less optimistic I am, the less positive I am, the less I attract towards me, which therefore now I go down that negative path. Now, does that mean it can't be fixed? No, all it means is just change your thinking, because you attract what you think about. If you think people are going to screw you over, then that's what you're going to attract. If you think people are dishonest, that is what you're going to attract. This has nothing to do with spiritual warfare, and has to do with your own individual thing. This is part of your spiritual evolution as a human being, to grow and be a part of and understand the creating entity that actually made us who we are and gave us this reality that we have. Okay, so that is the reality of the situation. And that's kind of the way that I see the world. Now, you may disagree with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I do not follow with religion, because I think that religion is too restrictive. If you want to understand your creator, go into nature. Go live outside for a while. Go out in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing there. Sit there on a log, smoke a bowl, smoke a cigarette, and just watch the world pass you by. Start observing. What do the chipmunks do? What are they doing all day? So they wake up, they do this whole thing. They're happy. Do they go to church? No. Do they have an economy? No. What they have is they have a specific function within nature that allows them to benefit nature while surviving themselves. And as long as you are benefiting nature, you will survive. When you get out of balance with nature and no longer benefit nature, you no longer will survive. And do I believe in spirits? Yes. The spark of life that's in us all, that animates us, it came from somewhere. It's a lot of people think that I'm atheist. I'm not. I would be considered a deist. A deist is somebody who believes it's the Greek word for the Latin word monotheist. Monotheist and deist are the same thing. Thomas Paine was a deist. He believed that there was intelligent design, something that created it, but religion was not the answer, because religion was created by man to control man for various reasons over the course of history. Okay, and religion has been probably one of the most destructive things, not only to us as a species, but to our planet as a whole, because it allows us to justify things that we would otherwise no longer justify. Our ancestors wouldn't do half of the things that we're doing to nature that we're doing right now, because they were connected to nature. They understood the harmony and the balance and how everything was integrated together. Whereas now we don't have that. It's nature's there for our molding. We are no longer bound by nature. This is the lie that we were told during the Industrial Revolution, is that we are now above nature. And I think with this whole technological revolution, this whole technical revolution, just it's crazy. But anyways, guys, hey, what's up? What's up, Patriot News? Yes, wrong think. I'm not talking religion. I'm talking creator basic facts with like energy and frequencies. Um, Paige, yeah, but I mean, if you want to understand how I see the world, I recommend you go look at a guy by the name of Billy Meyer, Meier. He is what he's not a guru. He's just a very intelligent man, and I like reading him because it has given me a whole new perspective on life. One of my favorite books. In a couple of months, I may have my parents send it to me, but they've been holding on to it because to me it's a prized possession. But it's called The Goblet of Truth. I think it was like a $70 book. It's about this thick, and it looks like one of those old school Bibles with the what is it with the what's it with the candles, the 6 candles, the stuff like that. So what's up, smoking? Okay, I believe the spirit text. That's cool, Grease. All right. Rocks. There will be rocks outside, Tuck. Yes, I know. Okay, so let's see. Not talking. Okay, yes, exactly what I was typing. Okay, well, how the same energy, absolutely. We're all created by the same creator. Yes, but the problem is, um, every time we try and define our creator, that is not our creator. That is not a way for us to define it. Now, you're going to have to really go deep into the weeds. You will go to legal philosophers to really understand this. But by giving something a title, it ceases to exist, to be that thing. Okay, because we call it God. Therefore, we put these duties along with this title. It fails to fully describe the creator itself. It's only a mini description of what it really is, what it really does, what its purpose is here, and what our role is in it. Okay, but that's just my thought. Yes, Billy Meyer, Meier. Very, very smart man. Very, very intelligent. It's amazing, the things that I've learned. If it wasn't for Billy Meyer, I'll just be direct with you. If it wasn't for Billy Meyer, I think that instead of starting a business and being off the streets for about 7 to 9 years, which is the longest period of stability I've ever had, I think that he was one of the biggest influences, because one of the most important things that he teaches is self accountability and self responsibility. You play a role in everything, good or bad. The consequences in which you suffer are a direct result of your actions, whether they be good whether they be good or bad. Okay, so this is this is why I like this is why I like Billy Myers, because he gave me, by reading his material, applying it in my life, it has given me a much more positive outcome than I would have, because I've become more responsible, more accountable, realizing my role in it, and then making the adjustments. And it causes me to grow and to learn, to evolve, and to be a better human being. And that's all I really want to be to begin with. Okay. So let's see. No other way around. Okay. The Trump Bible. Of course, Bibles trumps all. No. No. See, that's the thing, is the Bible was written by man to describe something that they couldn't see or understand. So is it real? No, it's just their interpretation of the spiritual realm and what happens to you in the afterlife. Because if you understand the history of Judaism, it started out as Kabbalah, which was under Abraham. It's also known as Jewish magic. And so therefore, and then once once what was his name? The guy that led everybody out of Egypt. I forget his name. Not Moses. Was it Moses? Yeah, it was Moses. The Mosaic Law. Yes. Okay. So at that point in time, which is around 800 BC, is when historians believe that the Mosaic Law was brought into play under that. Okay. So um, in Kabbalah, they believed in reincarnation or continuous rebirth. In Judaism, okay, which is the Mosaic Law, they believe that there might be a heaven or there might be a hell. It's more about speculation. But then the final evolution of it is Christianity, that says that there is a heaven and a hell, and based upon this, you will go to one of those places. Now, the thing is in Kabbalah, they were able to prove it. As the Mosaic Law comes, it became more about speculation. To the time that Christianity comes around, it becomes fantasy. Okay, we're trying to invent these things so that we can sit there and say, well, if you don't do what I say, because I'm the leader, you're gonna face fire and brimstone. It's a way for control. It was taking the truth and perverting it in a way in which the ruling elites were able to maintain control. Now, Billy Meyer does talk about the history of the earth, and he says that over time, over thousands of years, we had ETs that would come down to this planet. And because our ruling elite were pretty much the only educated ones, everybody was illiterate and kind of like a brain dead in a lot of ways compared to the ruling elites, that they sat down and they educated the elites with the intent that the elites would therefore pass this information down to the masses. Well, they didn't do that. They kept it for themselves so that they could hoard and maintain control and power, therefore creating and instituting religions over time so that they could maintain that power, that control. And if you look at the most powerful organizations in our world, it has to do with religion, whether it be Mecca, whether it be Rome, whether it be one religion, one faith, one something. Okay, so I've seen frequencies change the atmosphere. I prayed in tongues. Okay, well, uh, um, okay. Uh, inspired, inspired. Thomas Paine's Age of Reason was inspired. Okay, it was inspired by a question in which he asked to find the truth. Now, did he find the truth or did he not? That's to be debated. Just because it's inspired doesn't mean it's true. I was inspired to I was inspired to flatulate. Does that mean it was good or bad? No, I ended up shitting my pants. You see what I'm saying? I bet some of you are laughing your ass off right about now about that one. I did not shit my pants, just so you know. Okay, this is just something to drive a point home. Okay, uh, digging this lesson. Well, I'm glad you do. Yeah, you can. The only way you will ever get me to talk about spirituality, because I think it's an individual thing. Um, the way Because we're all on our own individual path. Yes, we live in the same world. We coexist. We see each other, but it's still an individual thing. I cannot. I Because I don't know the 100% truth. I too am seeking the truth. I cannot do anything other than share my knowledge and my wisdom. But it is up to you to decide how to prepare for the next part of your life, i.e., the afterlife. What happens? We don't know. There's speculation. There's some evidence coming out in science that there's reincarnation, and eventually Christians will eventually adopt the reincarnation method. But that takes away the core of what Christianity was built upon, which is you only get one chance. And quite frankly, if a creator liked you, if as a parent, those of you that have children, if your child doesn't get it right the first time, do you ostracize them, kick them out of the house, and say you're no longer welcome here? Because that's essentially what Christianity says. Okay, Christianity says that you've got one try to get it right, and if you don't get it right, you're going to go to hell and brimstone, or fire and brimstone. Well, what that takes away from learning. It puts unnecessary guilt on an individual because they're too worried about offending a god to actually learn anything, which therefore stunts and inhibits their overall spiritual growth. because the one thing that even Christians will acknowledge is that you are supposed to be like a child. What is a child? A child is curious. A child has unfiltered curiosity without the predisposed bias that we get as we get older. Because in order to assimilate into society, we have to believe parts of the lies in order to be able to live. Okay, so let's see here. I say with multi. I just say I have multi. Okay, mine has power. Just like YouTube, say the wrong thing and you won't get it, and you won't get paid. Exactly. I mean, that is Christianity as it's a whole. Oh well, if you decide to have sex with a woman before marriage, you are now going to fire and brimstone. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, I understand you're a young kid. It was a lesson, and what, you got her pregnant, now you got a shotgun wedding. Okay, lesson learned. Okay, if you're a parent, don't you teach your children? Don't you want them to grow and learn? Even though you know they're going to make mistakes, you know that they're going to have problems. Isn't your goal as a parent to allow your children to make mistakes and to be their guide along the way, to teach them why it was wrong, versus like, you better get it right the first time, or you know what, you're going to be sleeping out on the street corner going to a youth shelter. Which one makes more sense? Which one is more like a real parent that loves their child, and which one is a hateful, resentful, spiteful parent that is only out for themselves, their own ego? They're a narcissist. Because if you look at the way that Christianity paints its creator, it is a narcissistic bully who has no regard for the very things in which he created. Okay, I mean, why would you wipe out your own creation like that? If you create something, why would you do that? It just makes no sense. Okay, but couldn't resist the emojis. Okay, no, but if religion, then people would be free and would be, if religion had power, then people would be free. No, religion is a sign of bondage. Um, yeah, it is bondage, and they would be healed. Jesus came to heal the sick. Okay, we yes, you learn by your mistakes. That is evolution. Now let's look at it from a different point. You bring up a perfect point, Tricky Dick. Let's look at this from a different point. Okay, from a different point of view. um uh, uh the creator that created this, do you realize how much science, math, and other things went in to be able to create this? This is a biological artificial entity in a lot of ways. You could call it that. It's biological because it's a living organism, but it has rules and stuff like that it sticks by. Okay, so therefore therefore if your creator is part of this, and this is what Kabbalah taught. Okay, this is something that the Kabbalah teaches. So you have creation, and then you have multiple levels, then you have the veil, then you have the physical realm. So you start off as part of creation, and as a creation evolves, you are not evolving with creation, so you're stuck in your own evolution, which therefore causes you to descend down the ladder until you get to the point where you need the physical existence. You do multiple reincarnations. This is what Abraham taught. You do multiple reincarnations until you've learned everything that you need to learn, and you no longer need the physical body, and then you start ascending up through that ladder, because now you're contributing to the overall evolution of the greater entity, of creation itself. And science is starting to kind of point in this direction, especially the way that they see it. It's like this has to be something that's self-perpetuating. It's like we are here to do the collective evolution for the larger entity, the all-knowing, all-powerful entity that created this whole reality in which we have. Okay, and so therefore, each lifetime is a point and lesson for evolution. So instead of looking at your mistakes as a way to, like, oh man, I'm screwed up, I'm going to hell. No, no, you're gonna come back. You're gonna do it again until you finally learn your lesson. One thing that I learned in life, okay, and this is something that I've been able to apply. This is why I was able to apply a lot of the Billy Meyer stuff. I would sit there and go, my life sucks. Everything around me was horrible. Okay, it was everybody else's fault. I didn't do anything wrong. I had good intent. I was being a good human being. Was I? Was I really? No. No. See, you don't realize it, but because of the way we're taught wrong on certain things, because of the way that we interact in society and social contracts and norms and stuff like that. Um, what I was doing is I was being my own worst enemy by being abrasive to my environment. Okay. And then instead of taking accountability and responsibility for it, I kept blaming it on my environment, which meant it just made my situation so much worse than what it already was, because I was too stubborn to learn. And so just like anything else, you just keep applying pressure, applying pressure, and applying pressure until you become that diamond. And so therefore, you're not learning the lesson. Then all of a sudden you come and you got this epiphany, like, yeah, I'm doing this is what's causing all my problems. Maybe if I stop doing that, maybe my life will get better. Okay, now what does that do? That's a self accountability, self responsibility. It's understanding your role within the whole process. Okay, you're learning this. Okay, this is what our whole purpose in life is. Okay, according to my thoughts, the way that I see the world. Okay, you may see it completely different, but this is the way I see it. So, yeah, I'm a smoker and I'm a stoner, and yeah, I've been homeless, but in previous lifetimes I was rich. In previous lifetimes I was a woman. In previous lifetimes I was this. In previous lifetimes I was that. And I learned those lessons until I got to this point where I'm learning this lesson. And so therefore, I'm learning my lessons. And now that I'm learning my lessons, that means my next lesson in my next lifetime will give me an opportunity to continue to grow and evolve, because the more I learn, look at it like this: the older when you're 15 years old, you look at your parents and you think they're out total shitbags, right? By the time you're 35 and you've got kids that are about 15 years old, you're sitting back and going, you know what, my parents weren't assholes. They didn't hate me. They actually loved me. And so therefore you gained a deeper understanding of your parents through having children of your own. So that that animosity you had with your parents became went from animosity to understanding. Okay. And so in that same way, that is what our purpose and our evolution is in this lifetime, which is to evolve, to understand our creator, our parent, and so that we can fully understand what it is that they're doing, and go through that. Because when you're 15, you think your dad's an asshole, but when you're 35, you're like, man, my dad was so nice. I don't understand how he had the patience to deal with me. I was an asshole. You see what I'm saying? The more understanding you have of your parents or of your creator, the completely different relationship you are going to have. That's why my relationship is my relationship, and I have it on my level, because it's my own understanding, my own evolution, and all this other stuff. Okay, guys. So let's see. What's up, Beth? Um. Okay. He never wiped us out. Nah. I don't know. Basically, the flood was essentially what people think AI is going to do to us. I mean, yeah. Figure it out. Okay. The impact of automation on employment, the potential implementation of UBI in China is envisioned as a gradual process. Yes, it is. Paige, the problem here, it has nothing to do religion itself. It's if it's in the book, therefore it must be true. No, religion is bondage. Religion is a way to lead you down the wrong path. For those of you that are Christians, think of, as my bishop once told me, the devil will tell you 9 truths to get you to believe that 10th lie, and that 10th lie is religion. Okay, that 10th lie is religion. All right, and I'll just leave it at that. Yes, I think that UBI is going to be a big issue. I think that with now let the devil speak. Thanks for farmer prepper. Okay, Kabbalah. Yeah. Name Jesus makes demons leave. Explain that. Um, I I could tell you stories all day long. I could tell you some weird stories. I'll tell you a story about when I was 15. Okay. And this will answer your question there, Paige. Okay, because I know that you want to, you're more interested in being right than you are other things, and I'm okay with that. I do the same thing. So when I was 15, my mom hadn't shown up at the house for like 2 days. I was calling around to her friends to figure out what happened, because this really wasn't normal for my mom, at least the mom that I knew. Come to find out, it was a lot more normal than I thought. So finally, the morning before the night before she came home, and the next morning, so a few hours before she showed up, one of her friends calls me up and says, "Yeah, your mom was over here and she was talking shit about you and this and that and the other, and yeah, she asked to borrow my brass knuckles." I'm like, "Borrow your brass knuckles? Why would you let her do that? I mean, couldn't you fucking put two together?" "Yeah, I realized that after she left. Oh yeah, by the way, she bought a bunch of pills and I got some pot." So I was like, "Okay, great. So she's gonna come home gacked out of her mind with a pair of brass knuckles." Okay. Well, I was expecting her to come home. She didn't come home. It was Sunday morning. I had to watch my little sister, so I took my little sister to church with me. Come back. About an hour later, here comes my mom coming down the driveway, and um, I tell my sister, go that go sit down on the couch. I grab my stuff because I'm going to walk out the door because I already know how this is going to end up. I was just trying to avoid the situation. My mom ends up meeting me at the door, decks me with a pair of brass knuckles. Didn't even phase me. I flipped her around, picked her up, carried her outside. She screamed for help. A 7-foot tall, 300-pound man and her, my mom, 5 foot 650-pound, were trying to push me back in the house so that she could continue beating my ass with a pair of brass knuckles. Okay, and um, and the thing is I was standing upright walking down that driveway. It was a loose gravel driveway. They had skid marks down the driveway. I walked and I didn't even feel any of that tension. Now, at first thought, I was like, man, that had to be an act of God. That had to be God was protecting me that day because at that point in time I was religious. Um, Now fast forward, I'm 44 years old. I've been off and on the streets. Um, I've been off and on the streets for 25 years. Okay, and um, a lot of it was because I was having those same episodes, but they were tied to my work accident. And so I would continuously have them. At first, I tried calling them panic attacks and stuff like that. What I come to find out, and this is what happened when I was 15, because this was what happened. This is the cause and effect because I've always had this issue. I was born with it. The PTSD is what makes me dangerous. Okay, and I didn't have it back the PTSD at 15. I had it at 19. Okay, so with that being said, uh, I had so much adrenaline running through my system that I could literally, if I wanted to, I could have picked a car up and thrown it. We see stories of this in the news about moms and stuff like that pick up the car for their kid. That's adrenaline. You can do superhuman things with adrenaline. To an uneducated person that doesn't know what's going on, they will put a divine spin on it. Was it divine? No, it was not. It was a chemical, biological reaction that was part of my self-defense mechanism to save my ass in a situation where I felt that I was in danger. Okay, so this is why you look at religion, because here's the thing. I would be thinking, if I still kept that religious standpoint, I would be thinking that I was being punished by God for something that I don't even know that I did. Was I being punished by God? No. This is genetics. This was something that was passed down to me that was hereditary. Okay, so is it my fault? No. Should I be guilty about it? No. Should I be responsible about it? Yes. Should I be accountable about how I manage it? Yes. Okay, and that is the difference between religion and non-religion, because religion says, oh, it's all in God's hands, God will do it for you. No self-accountability, no self-responsibility. God will do everything. You can commit murder as long as you believe in Jesus Christ. You can go to heaven, even though it's a violation of the 10 commandments. Okay, and it makes no sense, because religion has to figure out a way, and they've commercialized it over the years because they were losing so many people, because reason was winning out over fantasy. And when reason wins out, we move better. We have better things going on. We have a deeper understanding of what's really going on. Okay, so his name was Emmanuel, and it even says it in Isaiah 40. His name was not Jesus. Jesus comes from the cult of Dionysus, which is where the Christians would merge into for their own safety and security, and therefore they adopted it. Jesus is the name of Zeus's son, okay? And Christ means anointed one. So the son of Zeus, the anointed one. That is what Jesus Christ means, okay? So you're a pagan. What's up, Craig? Nice to see you. Yeah, apparently. I'll tell you, study black magic and you will. I've met wizards in my lifetime. Some that I knew one, as one of my babysitter's husbands was did black magic. He was also Mormon. And considering I was Mormon, I mean, that's just kind of weird. So you seem to understand the core of Christianity because I used to be for a long time. I am sure blood runs deep. His name was Yeshua in Aramaic. Well, no, his name was not Yeshua in Aramaic. The reason why you see Yeshua is because the J didn't come into the English language until the 12th or 13th century. Okay, up until that point in time, everybody called him Yeshua because there was no J. I think we adopted it from the Germans, and once we adopted it from the Germans, that's when we start calling him Jesus. But yeah, you gotta realize if you look Isaiah 40, and his name shall be. It does not say it will be. It might be. It is. It is. If that is God's law, then shall be is it is, and there's no questioning it. So why is it we're still debating on? Oh, it's Emmanuel. Oh, it's Yeshua. Yo, it's Jesus. No. Okay. Isaiah was the one who said, "Here's what's coming. Here comes the anointed one. Here comes out of all of the prophets, he's going to be the greatest prophet of all." Okay. And his name shall be Emmanuel. They didn't say his name was going to be Yeshua. They didn't say his name was going to be Jesus. They didn't say his name was going to be that. They said his name was going to be Emmanuel with an E. Okay. Now, if you use the Germanic spelling, it would be J instead of an E. So your mom was a freak and she loved Jesus. Welcome to my family. It doesn't mean Jesus. No, my mom was not a Christian. My mom was anything but Christian. She used Christianity as a way to be able to manipulate and control the situation because Christianity allowed her to do it. The congregation, honor thy father and thy mother. It doesn't mean you do whatever your mother says. Oh, go steal the neighbor's bike. Oh, well, you didn't do that. You're not honoring your mother and your father. And then she would go slander my name and tell everybody how I was a shitty son because I wasn't doing what I was being told to do, which is to go commit a crime. See, that's what people fail to realize. This whole thing that people hide behind, they hide behind it because it gives them justification to be the shitbags that they are. Yes, he does. Especially fish tacos, Farmer Prepper. Oh, it's Farmer Pepper. Okay, okay. The idea is great, but in practice, yeah. Okay. The magic carpet ride when the wind hits. Yeah. 20 of us in here. Please give Tuck a thumbs up. Yes. All right, guys. Let's kind of change the subject because I know some of you will try and control the thing, and I'm watching the people coming in and seeing like who's interested in this, who's not. If I see views drop, then I'm going, okay, that's not interesting. Keep changing topic. Okay. But yeah, we've been going at this for about an hour, and you guys made me feel so much better. Thank you very, very much. Hey, here's the thing, guys. I need to get outside of the YouTube system. I need to get outside to a point where I can talk and speak freely, especially over the next few months because of things that I anticipate and see coming down. In the same way that you couldn't talk about COVID or talk bad against COVID, I think that that there's going to be certain things that are going to happen, especially if escalations rise between us and China. I don't think China will be the one to throw the first shot. It will be us, and it'll probably be either through Iran. It'll probably be Iran because we're getting up. We're getting up on that. But hey, guys, I really need to be able to survive censorship. I need 10 members. I need 10 new members. And that will allow me to at least make my property payment, have some food, propane, and water. That's all I need. Everything else I'm not worried about. But one thing that I really am worried about is making sure to keep a roof over my head so I don't become homeless again. Because I'm done being homeless. I work too hard and I put too much time, effort, and energy to bring you guys quality stuff to go to be homeless. I shouldn't never. I don't think that this is I don't think it is the way it is. It seems to reward those who don't want to do anything and those that are productive and that actually want to bring some sort of value. Those are the people that get ripped apart. It doesn't make any sense considering our whole country, our culture is based upon being a go-getter. And so, I thought when I started my YouTube channel that a lot of people would follow me just because I was a go-getter. I wasn't gonna just take this laying down. I was gonna put up the good fight. But I have come to find out over the last almost 3 years, no, no, people just want somebody to look at that makes them feel better about themselves and their situation. They need the stroke of the ego, the comfortness, versus actually rewarding people. And what that's doing is that's going to set us up in for a lot of failure in the future, because the people that are working hard are being told, well, your work isn't valuable enough for us. Even though you bring value, it's not valuable enough for us. And I don't know, there's a six in one hand, half dozen in the other on that. But anyways, guys, I'd like to make sure that if I lose this channel over the things that I say, that I have some sort of backup and I don't end up homeless. Because if I end up homeless again, I'm done with YouTube. I really am. I will delete every single video I ever made, and out of spite, because I don't want to share. Like, if my knowledge was not that valuable, then there's no point in leaving it up on YouTube. I should just delete it all, because uh, it is what it is. That's just my thoughts. So anyways, guys, come on over to Patreon, check out my memberships, because that's where I'm going to be trying to move everything. We need to get off platform and be prepared, because the thing is, this is about positioning. A YouTube channel gets nuked. Yes, preacher, that's exactly what Patreon is for. That's why I have a free membership over there. You don't have to be a paid member. If you want to follow me, even if you can't afford $5 a month, okay, I get it. I get it. I can't afford $5 a month either. Okay, but no. Well, yes, actually, we've been losing about 40 to 60% over the last few months. And you guys have heard me complaining about it. I just finally connected the dots. But anyways, in order for me to continue to survive, I need new members over there. I need at least 10 members that are digital homesteader and above. And that will be enough for me to be able to not only focus more on building the community over there, but it will give me the peace of mind knowing that if I need to speak and say the truth, that I don't have to be censored. So if you value the truth and you value what I bring to the table, I strongly urge you, come on over to Patreon and become a member, because should anything ever happen to me, or if I need to say something outside of the YouTube ecosystem because I don't want to get deplatformed or demonetized, that is the place to be. So if you value this, if you value what it is I bring to the table, you think that my knowledge is valuable, please reward me with a membership. I would truly appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end on that. Thank you for being here. Much appreciated. I'll see you in the next one.